The vast emptiness of space held many secrets, but none quite as interesting as the reputation humans had gained among the galaxy's civilized species. While other races saw humans as unpredictable and dangerous, they would soon learn that these very traits would become their salvation. Captain Tom Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship, Hope, staring at the emergency broadcast that flashed across their main screen. The message came from a distant space station called Haven 7, home to thousands of peaceful aliens from the Stellar Alliance. The station was under attack by space pirates who had disabled their defense systems. "Captain, the Alliance ships in the sector are refusing to respond," reported Jack, the communications officer. His fingers danced across the holographic controls as he tried to reach other vessels. "They say it's too risky. The pirates have quantum torpedoes." Tom rubbed his beard, a habit he had when deep in thought. The Hope was 3 hours away at maximum speed, but they were the only ones willing to help. The Alliance races had always been cautious, too cautious in his opinion. They valued careful planning and minimal risk, while humans had learned through their own violent history that sometimes the greatest risks brought the greatest rewards. "How many civilians on that station, Bill?" Tom asked his first officer. Bill, a seasoned space veteran with gray hair and kind eyes, checked the station's manifest. "Over 3,000, sir. Mostly families. The pirates have already breached the outer defenses." Tom's jaw tightened. He remembered Earth's history, how his own ancestors had faced similar choices. When others ran from danger, humans had learned to run toward it. Not because they were fearless, but because they understood that courage meant acting despite fear. "Plot a course to Haven 7, maximum speed," Tom ordered. "Alert medical to prepare for casualties, and get our boarding teams ready. We're not letting those families face this alone." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their training kicking in. Humans might be considered dangerous by the galaxy at large, but today that reputation would work in their favor. Pirates were used to dealing with the cautious Alliance races, they had no idea what a ship full of determined humans could do. As the Hope accelerated toward Haven 7, Tom sent a message to the station. "This is Captain Miller of the EDS Hope. Hold on. We're coming." He added in his mind, "And we're bringing the kind of chaos only humans know how to handle." The ship's engines hummed louder as they pushed to maximum speed. In the weapons bay, Marines checked their gear. In medical, doctors prepared for wounded. Every human aboard knew the risks, knew that quantum torpedoes could tear their ship apart. But they also knew something the Alliance races had yet to learn: sometimes the most dangerous thing you could do was nothing at all. Through the viewport, stars streaked by like white lines on a black canvas. The Hope raced toward danger while other ships fled. It was, Tom reflected, a perfect example of why humans were different. They weren't reckless, they were willing to take necessary risks when lives were at stake. The rescue mission had begun, and the galaxy was about to learn why humans, despite being labeled as dangerous, were exactly what they needed in their darkest hour. As the EDS Hope approached Haven 7, the crew got their first real look at the situation. 3 massive pirate ships surrounded the space station, their dark hulls decorated with blood-red markings. Through the viewing screens, they could see scorch marks on the station's outer rings where the pirates had breached the defenses. "Status report," Captain Tom ordered, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Pirates have control of the outer docking rings," Bill reported. "They're using standard boarding tactics, looks like they're not expecting any resistance. Their shields are up, but they're only at 60%. They're getting cocky." Tom smiled grimly. Overconfidence, that was something humans could use. While the Alliance races were known for their predictable, by-the-book responses, humans had learned to think differently. Sometimes, the best solution wasn't the most obvious one. "Mary, what's our weapons status?" Tom asked his weapons officer. Mary, a veteran of 3 space campaigns, had already anticipated his question. All systems ready, Captain. But there's something else. I've been studying their shield configuration. There's a weakness we could exploit. It's risky, but it's exactly what they won't expect, Tom finished. This was why humans were considered dangerous. They saw opportunities where others saw only obstacles. The plan came together quickly. Instead of attacking the pirates head-on as they'd expect, the Hope would use its emergency thrusters to perform a maneuver that the Alliance races had dubbed the Human Madness, deliberately overloading their own shields to create a controlled energy surge. Everyone, brace for impact. Tom's voice rang through the ship's comm system. Execute Operation Thunderclap in 3, 2, 1. The Hope's engines screamed as they pushed beyond their normal limits. The ship spun on its axis, their overloaded shields creating a cascade of energy that rippled through space. The pirates, expecting a traditional attack, had their sensors focused on weapon signatures. They never saw the energy wave coming. The surge hit all 3 pirate ships simultaneously, scrambling their shield harmonics. For just a few precious seconds, their defenses flickered. Now! Tom shouted. All weapons, target their engine cores. The Hope's guns roared to life, sending precisely targeted shots through the gaps in the pirates' failing shields. 2 of the pirate ships immediately lost power, their engines dark and dead in space. The third managed to maintain partial shields, but they were clearly struggling. "Sir," Jack called out, "we're receiving surrender signals from the disabled ships." But Tom knew better than to celebrate too early. Keep weapons locked on their vital systems. Bill, get our boarding teams ready. Mary, maintain targeting solutions. These pirates need to learn that attacking civilians, especially when humans are around, is a very bad idea. As the Hope's Marines prepared to board the station and secure the pirates' ships, Tom received an unexpected message. It was from the station's governor, a member of the normally peaceful Lemurian race. "Captain Miller," the governor's voice trembled slightly, "when we sent our distress call, we hoped for an Alliance peacekeeping fleet. Instead, we got one human ship. I must admit, I was scared when I saw only you coming. We've heard stories about human tactics. But now I understand, sometimes the most dangerous species can also be the most heroic." Tom allowed himself a small smile. "Governor, humans learned long ago that being dangerous and being protective aren't mutually exclusive. Sometimes, you need a little controlled chaos to restore peace." As the boarding teams moved out, Tom knew this was just the beginning. They still had to clear the station and ensure the safety of all civilians. But they'd already proven something important: when the galaxy needed heroes, humanity's dangerous reputation was exactly what made them perfect for the job. The interior of Haven 7 Station was chaos. Emergency lights cast red shadows across damaged corridors, and the sound of distant weapon fire echoed through the metal halls. Lieutenant Mark, leader of the Hope's Marine Unit, led his team through the station's service tunnels, another dangerous human tactic that the pirates wouldn't expect. "Alliance forces always use main corridors," Mark whispered to his team. "But humans? We use every path available." His Marines moved silently through the maintenance shafts, their boots making barely a sound on the metal gratings. Through their helmet cameras, Captain Tom watched their progress from the Hope. "Life signs ahead," he reported through the comm. "Looks like they've gathered hostages in the main recreation area." The Marines reached a junction where they could see down into the recreation area. Below, about 30 pirates held roughly 100 civilians hostage. The pirates were typical raiders, a mix of species from the outer colonies, all heavily armed. They had set up defensive positions expecting an attack from the main entrances, just as Alliance forces would do. But humans had learned different lessons from their history of warfare. They knew that sometimes the best path wasn't the most obvious one. "Ready the sonic disruptors," Mark ordered. These were unique human weapons, designed to incapacitate without risking civilian lives. The Alliance considered them unnecessarily complex compared to standard stun weapons, but humans knew that complexity could be an advantage. Mark's second-in-command, Lisa, checked the station's environmental controls from her wrist computer. "Air circulation is working in our favor. Sound will carry perfectly through these metal panels." The plan was pure human ingenuity. While the pirates watched the doors, Mark's team would create a synchronized sonic attack from above, using the station's own architecture as a weapon. It was the kind of adaptive thinking that made humans unpredictable and effective. 3, 2, 1. Execute. Mark commanded. The sonic disruptors activated simultaneously, their frequencies carefully calibrated to affect the pirates' inner ear balance without harming the civilian hostages. The effect was immediate. Pirates stumbled, their weapons dropping as they fought to stay upright. The sound, amplified by the metal chamber, created the perfect amount of chaos. Marine teams rappelled down from multiple access points, securing pirates before they could recover. Lisa led a squad to the environmental controls, preventing any attempts to vent the atmosphere, a common pirate tactic when cornered. "Area secure," Mark reported less than 2 minutes later. Not a single shot fired, not a single civilian injured. It was the kind of operation that would make Alliance military strategists shake their heads in disbelief. A small alien child, belonging to a species known for their logical nature, approached Mark after the fighting ended. The others said humans were too dangerous to trust. The child said, its large eyes blinking. "But you saved us by being dangerous to the right people." Mark knelt down to the child's level. "Being called dangerous isn't always an insult," he explained gently. "Sometimes it means you're willing to do difficult things to protect others." Back on the Hope, Captain Tom received reports from across the station. The human boarding teams had secured all 3 pirate ships and freed every hostage. The Alliance races had refused to help, fearing the risks, but one human ship had succeeded where a fleet had feared to try. "Captain," Jack called from his communications station, "we're receiving messages from Alliance headquarters. They're congratulating us. And asking for details about our tactics." Tom smiled. Perhaps now the galaxy would understand, humans weren't dangerous because they loved violence. They were dangerous because they were willing to risk everything to protect others. It was a lesson written in human history, and now it was being written in the stars. As medical teams treated the freed hostages and security processed the captured pirates, Tom knew that today's events would change how the galaxy viewed humans. Sometimes, you needed someone willing to be a little dangerous to make the universe a safer place. The medical bay of Haven 7 had transformed into a hub of activity. Human doctors and nurses from the Hope worked alongside the station's medical staff, treating both the freed hostages and the few pirates who had suffered injuries during their capture. The sight of humans gently caring for alien children and elderly was a stark contrast to their fearsome reputation. Dr. Ann, the Hope's chief medical officer, moved from patient to patient with practiced ease. She noticed how some aliens initially flinched when she approached, their species' instinctive fear of humans showing through. But their fear quickly turned to gratitude as they experienced the gentleness of her care. "I don't understand," a tall, crystalline alien said as Ann treated a crack in their outer shell. "We were told humans were violent and unpredictable. Yet your ship's crew risked everything to save us, and now you heal even those who attacked us?" And smiled as she applied the specialized healing compound. "Humans learned long ago that being strong means nothing if you don't use that strength to help others. We're not dangerous because we love violence, we're dangerous because we'll do whatever it takes to protect life." Meanwhile, in the station's control center, Captain Tom met with the station's governing council. The council members, representing 5 different Alliance species, had requested an emergency meeting to understand the human methods used in the rescue. Your tactics, the head counselor began, his translucent tentacles waving in agitation. They went against every protocol in the Alliance security manual. The service tunnel infiltration, the sonic attack, the shield overload, all extremely risky procedures. But they worked, Tom replied calmly. Sometimes the riskiest path is actually the safest, because it's the one your enemy least expects. A holographic display showed the aftermath of the rescue operation. 3 captured pirate ships, 0 civilian casualties, and minimal damage to the station. The council members exchanged glances, their traditional beliefs about human recklessness being challenged by the evidence before them. In the station's main plaza, Lieutenant Mark and his Marines had set up a temporary security center. They worked efficiently to process the captured pirates while maintaining a protective presence that reassured the station's residents. Many aliens stopped to watch the humans work, fascinated by their blend of military precision and casual interaction with civilians. A group of young aliens approached Mark, their species known for their scientific minds and careful analysis of all situations. "We've been studying your rescue operation," one of them said. The conventional calculation suggested a 73.4% chance of failure. Yet you succeeded. How? Mark thought for a moment before answering. Humans don't just calculate odds, we change them. Where others see impossible risks, we see opportunities. It's not about being reckless, it's about being creative when lives are at stake. Back on the Hope, Jack monitored the communications channels as messages poured in from across Alliance space. News of the successful rescue was spreading, and with it, a new understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. "Sir," he called to Tom, who had returned to the bridge, "the Alliance Council is requesting a formal presentation on human tactical approaches. They're calling it controlled chaos theory." Tom couldn't help but laugh. The same traits that had made humans feared, their adaptability, their willingness to take risks, their unpredictable strategies, were now being seen in a new light. The galaxy was beginning to understand that being dangerous wasn't always a bad thing, especially when that danger was directed at those who would harm the innocent. As the Hope's crew continued their work on Haven 7, stories of their bravery spread through the station. Children played at being human Marines, adults discussed the implications of human tactical thinking, and even the most traditional Alliance members had to admit that perhaps their fear of human unpredictability had been misplaced. Sometimes, the most dangerous ally was exactly what you needed to maintain peace in a dangerous galaxy. 3 days after the rescue of Haven 7, the EDS Hope remained stationed near the space station, helping with repairs and security. But the impact of their actions was spreading far beyond this single star system. In the Hope's communication center, Jack found himself overwhelmed by incoming messages from across the Alliance. "Captain," Jack called out during the morning briefing, "you need to see this. We're receiving requests from 17 different Alliance stations. They all want human security advisors." He paused, checking another incoming message. "Make that 18. Tom sat at his command chair, reviewing the reports. The pirate attack on Haven 7 had exposed a critical weakness in Alliance security protocols. They were too predictable. Everyone, including the pirates, knew exactly how Alliance forces would respond to any situation. But humans? They were anything but predictable. "Sir," Bill said, entering the bridge with a data pad, "the Alliance Military Council has called an emergency session. They want to discuss something they're calling the human factor in defensive strategies." Meanwhile, in Haven 7's main medical center, Dr. And was giving a presentation to a group of Alliance medical professionals. They had been amazed by how the human medical team had handled the crisis, combining rapid emergency response with compassionate care. "The key," and explained, showing holographic displays of their rescue protocols, "is that humans prepare for the unexpected. We train for the worst while hoping for the best. Some call it paranoid, we call it being ready for anything." In the station's security center, Lieutenant Mark found himself surrounded by Alliance security officers. They had come from neighboring systems to learn about the maintenance tunnel gambit that had led to the successful hostage rescue. But accessing maintenance tunnels isn't in any standard protocol, one officer protested, their 4 eyes blinking in confusion. Mark smiled. That's exactly why it worked. Humans learn through centuries of warfare that the best tactics are often the ones your opponent never sees coming. The station's governor hosted a special council meeting, attended by representatives from various Alliance worlds. The topic of discussion: how to integrate human-controlled chaos strategies into Alliance defense planning. The humans did more than save our station, the governor addressed the council. They showed us that our fear of their dangerous reputation had blinded us to their greatest strength, the ability to use that dangerous nature to protect others. On the Hope's observation deck, Tom stood with Bill, watching repair crews work on the station's outer hull. Emergency beacons from the captured pirate ships blinked in the distance, where Alliance cruisers had finally arrived to take them into custody. Funny how things change, Bill mused. A week ago, these same Alliance ships would have kept their distance from us, worried about our unpredictable human nature. Tom nodded. Sometimes it takes a crisis to show people the truth. Being dangerous isn't about being violent, it's about being willing to act when others won't. The ship's AI announced an incoming priority message. It was from Earth Command, and its contents made Tom raise his eyebrows in surprise. Well, he said, sharing the message with Bill, it seems the Alliance has formally requested that human ships be assigned to all major space stations in this sector. They're calling it the Haven Protocol, having a human presence to deter those who would prey on the peaceful. As the day shift ended on Haven 7, the station's lights began to dim to night cycle. In the residential areas, alien children played with toy spaceships, all of them wanting to be the human captain who saved the day. In offices and homes, people discussed how the galaxy was changing, how the species they once feared was becoming the one they most wanted to have around when trouble struck. The dangerous humans had shown the galaxy something important. Sometimes the most feared ally could become the most valued friend, especially when that ally was willing to risk everything to protect others. 1 week after the Haven 7 incident, the station had become a symbol of changing times. In the main conference chamber, Captain Tom stood before a mixed audience of humans and aliens. The Alliance had organized the first-ever Human Alliance Integration Summit, and the Hope's crew were the guests of honor. The pirates chose Haven 7 because they thought it was an easy target, Tom addressed the crowd. They knew Alliance protocols, expected a predictable response. What they didn't count on was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, our willingness to be unpredictable when protecting others. In the station's training center, Lieutenant Mark and his Marines had started something unprecedented, joint training sessions with Alliance security forces. The sight of humans teaching their dangerous tactics to alien officers would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. Remember, Mark explained to a group of eager alien trainees, the maintenance tunnels aren't just shortcuts, they're strategic advantages. Human tactics aren't about following a rulebook, they're about using everything at your disposal to protect those in need. Dr. Ann had her own success story. The medical bay had become a learning center where human and alien medical practitioners shared knowledge. The humans' aggressive approach to emergency medicine, which often meant taking calculated risks to save lives, was being integrated into Alliance medical protocols. In critical situations, Ann told her alien colleagues, sometimes the safest choice is the one that looks most dangerous on paper. Humans learned this through centuries of medical advancement. The Hope's crew found themselves becoming impromptu ambassadors. Jack, who had always been quiet at his communications station, now taught Alliance communications officers how humans used seemingly chaotic but highly effective emergency channels during crises. Controlled chaos, he explained, isn't about being reckless. It's about being flexible enough to adapt when standard procedures fail. In the station's civilian sectors, the change was even more apparent. Alien children no longer hid when humans walked by. Instead, they asked for stories about Earth and human space adventures. Some even wore makeshift uniforms modeled after the Hope's crew. Bill watched this transformation with amazement. A month ago, he said to Tom, these same kids would have run away screaming. Now they want to be us. The station's governor had organized a special ceremony in the main plaza. Representatives from 20 Alliance worlds gathered to witness something historic, the official adoption of the Haven Protocol. Under this new doctrine, human ships would be permanently stationed at major Alliance facilities, not as dangerous outsiders to be feared, but as valued protectors. The galaxy is changing, the governor announced. We once feared human unpredictability. Now we understand that this very trait makes them our greatest allies. They are dangerous, but dangerous to those who would harm the innocent. In the Hope's observation lounge, Tom found a quiet moment to reflect. A group of alien children had drawn pictures of the rescue operation, their artwork now decorating the walls. The images showed human Marines as heroes, not monsters, protectors, not threats. Captain, Jack's voice came over the comm, Earth Command is calling. They say the Alliance Council wants to establish a permanent human presence in all major sectors. They're calling it the Dangerous Friends Initiative. Tom couldn't help but smile at the name. The galaxy had finally understood what humanity had known all along, being dangerous wasn't about seeking violence. It was about having the courage to act when action was needed, to take risks when playing it safe meant letting others suffer. As the day cycle ended on Haven 7, the station's lights created a beautiful display of colors in space. Human and alien crews worked side by side on repair teams, their differences forgotten in the spirit of cooperation. The dangerous humans had not just saved a station, they had helped forge a new understanding in the galaxy. Sometimes, Tom reflected, the most dangerous thing you could do was nothing at all. And sometimes, being called dangerous was the highest compliment a species could receive. 1 month after the Haven 7 incident, the EDS Hope prepared for departure. The station had been fully repaired, new security protocols were in place, and a permanent human contingent was ready to take up residence. As Tom stood on his bridge for one last look at the station, he reflected on how much had changed in just a few weeks. Final report from Haven 7, Captain, Jack announced, his voice carrying a note of pride. The first graduating class of the Human Alliance Joint Security Force is ready for duty. 23 Alliance officers trained in human tactical thinking. Through the main viewport, Tom watched as shuttles carried the last of the Hope's training teams back to the ship. The station now bore visible signs of human influence. Maintenance tunnel access points had been redesigned for quick response, security systems now incorporated unpredictable patterns, and even the medical bay had been reorganized to handle emergencies the human way. Message from Earth Command, Bill reported. The Haven Protocol has been officially adopted by 37 Alliance worlds. They're requesting more human ships for permanent station assignments. In the station's main plaza, a ceremony was underway. The governor had commissioned a memorial, not just to commemorate the rescue, but to mark the beginning of a new era in human-alien relations. The holographic display showed scenes from the rescue operation, but with a unique twist, each scene highlighted how human, dangerous traits had saved lives. You know what's funny? Dr. N said, joining Tom on the bridge for the departure. Last week, an Alliance medical ship actually requested our aggressive emergency protocols. They said our dangerous reputation made patients feel safer. Lieutenant Mark added his own observation from the security station. The Alliance combat simulators now include human scenarios. They're calling them controlled chaos exercises. Pretty good for a species they used to fear, right? The Hope's departure ceremony was being broadcast across Alliance space. Millions watched as the station's lights changed to match the Earth Defense Fleet's colors, a symbolic gesture of trust and unity. The governor's voice echoed through the ship's comm system. 1 month ago, we learned that our greatest fear, the unpredictable nature of humans, was actually our greatest asset. The species we called dangerous proved to be dangerous in the best possible way, dangerous to those who threaten peace, dangerous to those who prey on the innocent, dangerous to the very concept of standing idle while others suffer. As the Hope's engines powered up for departure, Tom received one final message. It was from the small alien child they had rescued during the initial operation. The message was simple but powerful: "Thank you for being dangerous enough to save us." The ship moved away from Haven 7, its mission complete but its impact lasting. In the weeks since the rescue, pirate activity in Alliance space had dropped by 70%. The mere presence of human ships now served as a deterrent to those who would prey on peaceful stations. "Course laid in for our next assignment, Captain," Bill announced. 3 more stations have requested human security advisors. Seems our reputation precedes us. Tom took one last look at Haven 7, now a shining symbol of how fear could transform into trust, how danger could become safety, and how one species' worst reputation could become their greatest gift to the galaxy. "You know," he said to his crew, "being called dangerous used to bother us. But now I think we understand, it's not about being feared, it's about being ready. Ready to act when others hesitate, ready to protect when others flee, ready to be the difference between disaster and salvation." As the Hope jumped to faster-than-light speed, its story had already become legend in Alliance space. The tale of how the dangerous humans came to save the day would be told for generations. It served as a reminder that sometimes the most feared hand could become the most trusted, that the species others called dangerous could become the guardians that made the galaxy a safer place for all. In the end, humanity's dangerous reputation had become their greatest contribution to galactic peace. Because when darkness threatened and no one else dared to act, you could always count on the dangerous humans to save the day.